Hello and welcome to the Bookmarking Simplified podcast. I'm Jenn Hanson-dePaula.
And I'm Marcus-dePaula. And Jenn, when you're coaching authors on their social media marketing, one of the most common things that you hear from them is, where do I even start? How do I know which social media platform I need to be on? How do I not waste time?
Yeah, no one likes to waste their time, and it's hard to figure out where you should actually be specifically on social media when you don't even know what each outlet offers, or you're just kind of confused and kind of flailing about. And so what I thought that we could talk about today is really narrowing down exactly where you should be online, but how you can also actually enjoy the process.
That's important.
Yes, it is. And I think the first thing is understanding what each platform offers,
right,
and how they work best.
Okay.
So Twitter is obviously very different than Instagram. Instagram is very different than Facebook, and you reach different people. And there is a great resource that we'll have linked in the show notes that's from a site called Sprout Social that breaks down the demographics. Demographics are one thing, but how each outlet works is another. So let's talk about the demographics first.
Okay.
There are different age groups and different collections of people that are using each social media outlet. So for example, Twitter is really popular amongst news organizations, technical people like—
That's where I hang out.
Yes. That's where you can find Marcus. And politicians and men predominantly do hang out on Twitter. But there's also a big author community there.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking to connect with other authors and to develop connections there and with agents and other publishing professionals, that would be a good place to be. But also knowing that Twitter is not image-driven.
Right.
It's text-driven.
Yes.
And understanding that like on Instagram, it's very image and video-driven. It's a visual platform. So is TikTok, obviously. That's all video. And so understanding what each platform excels at and who they reach
Right.
within the demographics, meaning if you know that your ideal reader is in their mid to late 50s, they will probably be on Facebook and Instagram. They probably are not going to be on TikTok, even though more people are moving to TikTok.
Yeah.
And probably not on Twitter. And then if you have a younger demographic, let's say early 20s, that's going to be predominantly TikTok and Instagram. And this article that we're linking to in the show notes breaks down the demographics. So you'll know the age groups of people that are on each platform. So that's really the first step in knowing where you should hang out online.
And I know this question is probably going to come up, so I'll go ahead and ask it, even though it's not completely related. What about the frequency of posting on each platform, the differences? How do you feel about that?
It has shown that not the quantity of posts, but the consistency of posts.
I hear people all the time say, well, if you're on Twitter, you got to post like 8 times a day. You got to post at least 3 times a day on Instagram. And it's just not true. You can post once a day on any platform as long as you're consistent, right?
Yes. And if you're looking to grow insanely fast, then you need to increase the number of posts, because there is an argument of, the more you post, the more you'll be seen.
Well, you've talked about those touch points.
Yes.
The 8 touch points. So if you're doing it 8 times a day, you're way ahead than the person that's doing
exactly.
1 time a day.
But is that realistic, and is it sustainable?
Exactly.
In my experience, it's not sustainable.
Especially for people who are just dipping their toe into these waters.
Yes. And so it's something where you need to focus more on being able to be consistent with quality content rather than just posting a bunch of random stuff multiple times a day, hoping to see what sticks.
And that's regardless of the platform that you choose to be on.
Yes, definitely. And it's really about sustainability too. You're going to burn yourself out if you try to post 3 times a day, every day on each platform. And if you can do that, I know that there are some people who are single and this is their main source of income where they can dedicate a substantial amount of time on creating loads of content. That is not everyone.
Right.
And so I tell authors to focus mostly on what is realistic for you to create consistent content. And if that is starting off with twice a week, start with twice a week. Pick 2 specific days and stick to it because the algorithm across the board responds to consistency. So if you're going to pick 2 days a week and pick Tuesday and Thursday, for example, post every Tuesday and Thursday.
Once you understand which platform has what you need to connect with your ideal reader, as far as demographics, as far as the type of media that you're going to be posting, type of information you're going to be posting, what is the next factor that you need to look at when trying to decide which platform you want to invest your time in?
The next point is something that's very important that I don't think a lot of people take into consideration. It is spending time where you actually enjoy spending time online.
Yes.
You and I have talked about this extensively because I love Instagram. You are not a big fan.
Right.
Except for dog reels.
Exactly. I'll spend time watching dog reels, but I'm not making content to post on there.
But you love Twitter. You love the conversations. You love the connections that you've made, and you have found your audience there.
Yes.
And I know many authors that I've worked with have not enjoyed Twitter, but they've enjoyed TikTok or they've enjoyed Instagram. And it's really about finding which platform you enjoy. I have a client that I'm working with right now who has kind of changed his tune on social media. He really didn't like it before because he felt like it just was a big platform for people to, broadcast what they're selling and all that stuff. But once you realize that you're connecting with people who are interested in the same things that you are, that are interested in the same books, the same hobbies, but who are also interested in the content that you create, your books and everything that you're sharing, it's enjoyable. You're meeting people that you have a kinship with, that you have something in common with, and having conversations that you enjoy having really changes the game. And so remembering that you're not trying to connect with everyone, you're not just trying to blast out a bunch of information, you're trying to connect. That's what marketing is. It's about connection and building awareness. And so when you can connect with people who get you, it makes the time that you spend on social media so much more enjoyable.
One analogy that I like to think of is just where would you physically spend time? If you don't enjoy drinking coffee, why would you go hang out at a coffee shop all day? Maybe you're more of a pub person. So that's where you would connect with people that enjoy the same things. You wouldn't go hang out at a venue that doesn't fit your personality and your likes. So the same applies to these virtual platforms as well.
Exactly. And if the people at those venues aren't who you want to connect with anyway, why would you hang out there?
Exactly.
So that's the perfect analogy.
So once you figured out where you want to start spending your time, where do you start?
Well, I have many authors who just kind of throw their hands up and they say, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Where should I start? When you have not been on social media much and you just don't even know where to start, what I would recommend that most authors start off with is Instagram.
Okay.
Because it has multiple ways for you to connect with people.
The most variety in types of posts that you can make.
And it's content that you can use in multiple platforms, meaning you can create an image that posts on Instagram and that will also post on Facebook. You can also post that on Twitter. You need to obviously reduce the character count in your caption. And you can use your reels on TikTok and vice versa with TikTok. And so it's something where on Instagram, you are able to reach multiple platforms or reuse the content in multiple platforms, but it helps you to really get used to a social media platform that does entail multiple different visuals. Plus, it has a thriving book community. It's a pleasant place to hang out for authors. And I think that is probably the best place. That's where I recommend authors start.
And we talked about on a previous episode, which we'll put in the show notes, about the different options you do have for posting content. And
Yes.
it was
graphic images. You can use carousels within the feed.
Mhm.
You can do stories, which are 15-second video or image clips. You can do reels, which are short form video up to 60 seconds. And then there's long form video, which is over 60 seconds.
And we go into more detail on that on the
Yes.
episode that we'll link to. One thing I'd like to interject really quick, though, because you mentioned being able to share these posts on other platforms. If you're sharing from Instagram to Twitter, just be aware that it does not look good on Twitter to share from Instagram itself.
Yes.
So you would need to use a platform like Buffer.
Later or Buffer.
Okay.
There are some people who favor other outlets, but using a social media management tool
Right.
like Later or Buffer is a great way to adjust those captions and make everything fit.
Yeah, and the good ones allow you to create different captions for each platform,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Using the same image or
Yes.
video. All right, so what's the make it happen moment?
The make it happen moment for this episode is to do a couple of things. First, if you are really struggling to figure out where you need to be on social media, go to our show notes and look at the Sprout Social article to really understand the demographics for each social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
And second is, if you haven't already, download our free Streamline Book Marketing Guide, because knowing who your ideal reader is really going to help you to clearly identify who it is that you're trying to reach. And that is going to give you even more information as to knowing where you should be online. And so it's a free download. It's something that's going to give you a lot of information and guidance.
And the more you know who your ideal reader is, the easier it will be to find them online.
Exactly. And if you are ready to jump in and really take Instagram seriously, we have our Instagram Accelerator process available. It is not just going to help you know how to use Instagram, but we dig deep into creating content. It's really a full marketing system using Instagram. And it's going to help you grow your newsletter list. It's going to help drive traffic to your website. And it's just going to help you make better connections and see the full power of Instagram for connecting with readers directly.
And if you're not sure if Instagram is right for you, we'll put a link to Jenn's account, Mixtus Media, in the show notes as well. And you can just see what she's doing on there and seeing how people are interacting with your posts.
Yes.
To see if you think it might work for your own marketing.
So thank you so much for joining us. And as always, let us know if you have any questions.
We'll see you next time.